I wonder if you can tell us how you're feeling and how everything's going. And also if you can sort of weigh in on what it's like to be a new mom. Diana and Penny aren't new moms, but they're going through a newborn. How are you, you texted her and given her any congratulations?
Yeah, I mean, first off, obviously super happy for Dee and Penny to welcome another healthy baby into the world. Being a new mom, obviously they've done it before with Leo, but the beginning is tough, but also amazing at the same time. And Ruby's at home waiting for me to come back, so looking forward to going back to her. But as far as how I'm feeling, pretty good. Rest does wonders. So to be able to have some time where I'm not, rushing into another game or things like that is, I think, really good for my body. Unfortunately, we're not playing anymore, but happens.
Next question, front row, Annie.
Annie Costable from the Chicago Sun-Times. I wonder if you could weigh in on the front court matchup we're going to see in this series and your opinion of, the battle it's going to be between these two teams.
Of the bigs? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that, these two teams, it's going to be a great series, and it's going to be really interesting because there are so many pieces where it's like, who's going to match up with BG? Who's going to match up with Koff, Candace Parker, Dee, Skylar? Like the names go on and on and on. Sloot, Allie. So really looking forward to just being someone who's a spectator and watching. I think that, both of these teams are going to play their best in the biggest moment. And, I was just talking downstairs, but it's just like, this is the moment where home court advantage is like really, really important. So we'll see, if Chicago can get a win on the road or if Phoenix defends their home court.
All right, we're going to move to Zoom. Danny Thompson, you are up, and Danny, you will be followed by Rafiq. Danny, Rafiq, and then we'll return to the room for a question.
Brianna, Danny Thompson with the 3-point conversion. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect. Brianna, when you look at the W25, you're on the list of the W25. Do you kind of get like starstruck or in awe of seeing the pioneers of women's basketball and for people to consider you as one of the 25 greatest players to put on a pair of sneakers and a jersey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, that's the first thing is it's a huge honor for me to be a part of the W25, having been in the league for 6 years. And especially, looking at the former players that are a part of this group, the current players that are a part of this group, just makes it even more special. And to kind of be in the same company as, Lisa, Ketch, obviously Dee, Sue, Katie Smith, Tisha, like the list goes on and on and on. But I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here and the opportunity to play in the WNBA and help continue to grow the game like the ones before us did.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Rafiq. Rafiq, you will be followed by here in the room, Jeff.
This is Rafiq with Nothing But That Sports Talk. I just want to ask you, for somebody that's been through the WNBA finals in a short period of time during the WNBA career, what advice you have for the players that are playing the WNBA finals this year for the first time to actually put in effort to win the championship?
Advice for players that are in their first WNBA finals is enjoy the moment and make sure you leave everything out on the court. You've gotten through the ups and downs, the good and the bad this season for this moment. And, it's something where it's not one game. So it needs to be repeated over a series of 5 or the winner of 3, but enjoy it. I mean, when I look back at 2018, especially because we had fans, 2020 in the bubble, and Sue says it all the time, you never know when you're going to get back. So don't, overlook or overthink or miss your opportunity.
Appreciate your insight and enjoy watching the finals.
Next question will come from the room to your left, Stewie. Jeff.
Hi, Jeff Metcalf, Here's in the Republic. you were here for the Commissioner's Cup. Your team's playing great right after the Olympics. Now, neither of those teams is here in the finals. What does that say about the league, about the parity and the sort of elite status at the top, that where one injury, one little thing can sort of shift the power?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone has really realized this, maybe more so this year than any other year, is just how hard it is to play in this league and how many good teams that we have in this league. Like all 12 teams are capable of competing night in and night out. And for us to have a 5 or 6 seed finals for the first time ever, I believe, just shows the versatility of the league. And I think that it's great for the WNBA. It's great for women's basketball. And, you know, really credit to Chicago and Phoenix for getting through single eliminations and then the semis and not having much rest and still, you know, being here and proving that, you know, they are contending for a championship.
Microphone for Kareem. Our next question, Stewie, will come front row to your right. Kareem.
Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. You actually just kind of mentioned it real quick, you know, getting through single elimination. Commissioner earlier was talking about, you know, revisiting playoff format. I'm just curious from your perspective, players' perspective, what you think about the playoff format, like it, or would like to see it retooled? Yeah,
I think from the player standpoint, we all would like the single elimination to be gone, just because, you know, you work all season for an opportunity, and to have one game just kind of makes it over really quickly. And yeah, it's the format for college, but this isn't college. This is the WNBA. And also, I think extending the playoffs and making series out of all the rounds just makes for more viewers, more eyes to watch us, and more people to be a part of it.
All right, and if we bring the microphone back. Stewie, front row to your left. Jeff, just go ahead if you would.
Brianna, I'm sure that you have, excuse me, I'm sure that you just have like an entire apartment dedicated to trophies and medals at this point. But what is the next thing that you're looking to accomplish? It's incredible to be on the W25, but what's the next thing that Brianna Stewart can accomplish in basketball at this point?
I think the next thing that I want to accomplish is continuing to obviously get better individually, but getting us back into contention for a championship. I think that, you know, the way we went out this year wasn't easy, and not being able to have much of a say in it wasn't very fun for me or great for me. But you know, Seattle, we have the pieces, and hopefully having another shot at it.
Also in the room, Michelle, if you would, please.
I was wondering if I could ask you something a little bit more big picture. You know, with these deals that college players can sign now, obviously, you know, Paige, AZ are already have agents already. What problems do you think that could bring up, or do you see it as mostly a positive? And I ask that because you know, you have a lot of young people now dealing with a completely different situation than you would have. One can assume if this had been there when you were there, you would have been inundated with this.
I think that it's time for the NIL to be happening, and for players to be able to kind of profit off of their name, image, and likeness. I also think that it's going to be a tricky road just for the process of it and everything like that. I think that guidance is something that's going to be really important for these players who are making tons of money. But I also think that it's going to make things even more competitive, because you're going to realize, you know, if you're not excelling and if you're not doing this and that and the other on the court, you're not going to get as many deals and opportunities as other players. So I think there's another competitive side to it. and giving people a sense of reality really quickly.
Our next question will come from media members on Zoom. Doug Feinberg, go ahead, Doug. And Doug, you will be followed by Sean Schultz. Doug, go ahead.
Hey, Stewie, I got two for you. First is, how's your foot feeling? And the second one is, I'm sure you've told Sue how you feel and want her to come back for another year, but how do you approach that? I mean, do you try to every week send her a text saying, come back, or do you just do it once or wait? I mean, how do you approach that with her?
Yeah, my foot is feeling pretty good. I think it's just something where, you know, taking the time. To be honest, I haven't really gotten on the basketball court, just been making sure that I've had enough rest leading up to it. And as far as Sue, I mean, she knows that I would love for her to be back, and I would love to play with her again and have another opportunity. I know that she's got a lot going on, you know, a lot in her mind as far as, you know, coming back, not coming back. But no, I don't bug her, but she knows that I prefer her to be back playing, because she's more than capable of being out on the court and competing, no matter how old she is.
Our next question will come from Sean Schultz. Sean, go ahead.
Hi, Stewie. Two quick questions. First is, how's baby Ruby? And second, what do you think the league needs to do better going into next season from a player's perspective?
Ruby's great. She is at home. She's 2 months. She's big. She was like 15 pounds the last time we went to the doctor. So like, I'm getting workouts all the time. And I just love to have the opportunity to kind of watch her change day in and day out. It's something that I've really never obviously been a part of before. But motherhood is amazing. And as far as things that we need to continue to improve on in the WNBA, I think just continuing to cater to the players and help us get as much as we can and show our values and appreciate us and continue to get the eyes and the viewers. I think that, you know, this year having the first year where, you know, the new CBA was really like enforced, because last year we were in a bubble, just shows how exciting things are going to be. And I think that, you know, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for WNBA players. I mean, you see it now, but it's going to just continue to grow. And for the WNBA to have our back with that is really the main message point.
All right, Brianna, thank you very much. To our media in the room and to our media, that concludes the session with Brianna. Stay with us. Jeff will.
Am I in the middle? Am I solo or are we waiting on folks? No, we're going to have two more. Oh, good. All right. Yeah, neck and t-shirt. Cool.
Neck and t-shirt joining Katie. Yeah. Okay. To our media on Zoom, we are going to be joined momentarily by Nneka Ogwumike. I'm sorry, Sam, I missed it. Tisha Panachero, Nneka Ogwumike, and Katie Smith. Coach Katie Smith.
Good job, Ron. I don't know. Mask or no mask? No mask. Okay. I don't know what's.
All right, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. And we have now been joined by Katie Smith, Coach Katie Smith, Tisha Panachero, and Nneka Ogwumike. Thank you all. And we're going to begin right away with questions in the room and then turn to folks on Zoom. We're going to start in the room, front row, Annie Costabile.
Nneka, this question's for you. Annie Costabile from the Chicago Sun-Times. But when Candace left LA, she talked about the desire to bring this guy to this exact moment. I wonder, from your perspective, what kind of emotions you have looking at her having been able to do that. Obviously, there's still 3 wins that need to happen in order for the championship to come to Chicago?
I'm proud. I'm very proud of her. It's been awesome seeing her being obviously received at home, and for her to be able to make it through this season. I know for her it's meaningful that she made it through relatively healthy, and for them to be playing their best basketball right now and be in this position, it's exactly what she wanted to do. And usually when Candace says she's going to do something, she does everything she can to make it happen. But I'm very proud of where she's landed. I'm excited to be able to watch her today.
Just one quick follow-up. The team has spoken about how her leadership has carried them through really adverse moments this season. Obviously finishing 16-16 wasn't the expectation. So as her former teammate, what is it about her leadership that allows her to carry teams that way?
It's the passion. It's the passion behind it. I think all of us can even see when she plays that she's invested very much so. And she wants to leave it all out on the court. And so I think that her bringing that passion is kind of maybe providing a heartbeat for Chicago that they may not have had before in the way that she brings it. And I'm excited to see everyone being able to experience that on that team and in that organization.
Our next question will come from Michelle, center right.
Michelle Buckley, ESPN.com. I'm going to try to squeeze 2 in here, one for Nneka and one for Tisha. Tisha, I'll start with you. Salute. If anybody can, I guess, critique how great a point guard she is, it would be you. You know, what are some of the thoughts you have about the way her game has grown, the things she's able to do out there on the court and getting to the finals again, you know, leading her team to the finals again?
Yeah, I was able to be Slin's teammate in 2012 when I played in Chicago, and she was a baby then, right? But everybody could see the potential, even when she was playing in college for Gonzaga. So I'm not surprised with the way she makes the teammates better, the way she sees the game, the way she passes, and when she needs to, she can score as well. So I'm not surprised that we're talking about Slut as probably top 5 point guards in the history of this league. And I'm extremely proud of her. I think Candace, and she's probably the first person that says that she's not the best leader vocally that she can be, but she's somebody that is super competitive. She always did it by just practicing hard and playing hard and by example. And now she has Candace that can, you know, take that load a little bit off of her, and she can just be free to play basketball.
And Nneka, you know, this is a first full season for Kathy outside of a bubble. There were so many things that, you know, that went on this year too, and things that, you know, that you continue to work on, you know, as president of the executive committee. What's your sort of assessment on how this season went? And what are maybe the biggest 1 or 2 things that you're hoping we're gonna see next year, if you will?
Yeah, I think this season, it's funny, I was having this conversation with a few of the league staffers. The season was long, you know, it was long, but in a good way. I think there was a lot going on. Of course, it started with us trying to figure out what the season would look like coming off of a bubble. And then, of course, a very active free agency season and that leading up into just, you know, training camp and games. We had our first ever Commissioner's Cup, which was awesome. The Olympics happened. And now, you know, we're at the finals. And I just think that right now we're at a point, we're kind of like on the cusp of like really revving things up when it comes to league investment. And I think Kathy is doing a great job of stirring that pot and really trying to get results. Because I know Kathy's all about, obviously, you know, results and getting things done. But through the process, I think she's also, I know that I have been able to develop a really great relationship with her. And of course, with Terry and the executive director and the executive committee, it's just been great. And I think I look forward to mostly, I will say this, one thing that I think was really successful was the safety of our season in the pandemic. I think that was something that we can be very proud of. It was certainly a journey, and it was all hands on deck, whether it was players, coaches, organizations, the league, everything. And so I know we're probably, not even probably, we have no choice but to maintain that as we move forward. But I really look forward to continuing the conversation around rivalry, traveling for the players, and not just the players, the teams, I know you're working hard on that, but that all plays into safety. And ultimately too, with this new CBA, we're going to see more games in the season. And so I look forward as well to having healthy players on healthy teams, because, we say it every year, but, we're still in this season. It's just tough playing games with a handful of players. And I know the league wants us to be able to be healthy, and the teams certainly do, so that we can play the best basketball that we can.
All right, our next question will come from Zoom, Howard Megdal. And Howard, you'll be followed by a questioner here in the room. Jeff, Howard, go ahead.
NECA, Tisha, Katie, hello to all of you. This question actually is for you, Katie. When you think about the way in which your coaching career has developed and opportunities, there have been more and more opportunities for women to be coaching men. And I wonder whether you think about the way in which your career develops differently than you might have 3 and 4 and 5 years ago, in part because of that.
Yeah, developed, obviously we come up through our ranks and we take things and learn things from the people that we've come in contact with and play under. But you're right. When I was in New York, with the crossover, obviously Becky was the first, and then there was some others, Jenny Busek obviously branched off, and now Spoon and these guys. So I do think there's another avenue for us in the NBA, and it's being cultivated. Again, it's a little slow, but it's happening. But yeah, I think there is a place for us. I think the relationships that we have with the NBA and the players and coaches, I think it's starting to get better and better where we stay connected. So yeah, I think we continue to work together. Even in the Timberwolves, we have Ashley McGee, who's now with the video coordinator for the Timberwolves, and also with ourselves. So I just think it's a slower process, but it's starting to be looked at, and I guess the men's side is starting to really try to add that piece. So, but I think we always, whether we had jobs over there or not, we're always learning and basketball is basketball. It's not a foreign thing for women or men. Obviously the men are on our side and we could be on their side.
And just if I could follow up, NECA, with you, what do you think that means for your generation of players as some period of time down the road, those opportunities are going to be available for those of you who want to go into coaching?
Yeah, I was actually literally just having this conversation with Swin. I think it's less about whose side that you're on and what opportunities are available, and I think that's something that's important for our league as well as we continue to grow. And of course, as say the NBA is established, and it's not only basketball leagues that are experiencing women being involved on both sides, and it's not limited to coaching either. I think that what's important is that if the opportunities are available, then I think players who feel as though they may be pigeonholed into coaching, not saying coaching is such a bad thing, but sometimes they don't know what to do and then they fall into it. And we want to make sure that the best people are in the best positions. And so as these opportunities arise, you have coaching, you have analytics, you have GMs, you have presidents, you have referees. And it's important for these players to understand that these opportunities are available and that you have coaches like Katie who can show them the way, and help them figure out exactly where their path can find them as they figure out what they want to do post basketball. And I think it's fantastic that it's happening in all leagues. And I think something that's important too is that when these positions open up, especially in coaching on men's leagues for women, we're learning a lot, but I think it's also imperative for people to understand that they can learn a lot from us as well.
Thank you.
So we have one more question in the room, folks, and then we're going to be joined by our next group of 3 players. So we're going to go here, Jeff, if you would, and then Jeff, you'll take over with the next group. Jeff, go ahead, please.
James K., Chicago Tribune. Tisha, you mentioned that you'd play with Courtney Vandersloot back in 2012. I'm just curious, from where she was at back then to where she is now, what's been the biggest improvement in her game as one of the best facilitators in this league?
I think a consistency. I think that comes with age and experience, and I just feel like every time that she gets on the court, she does what she needs to do. She knows her job. She knows what a point guard is supposed to do, and she gets her teammates involved, and she calls her name, and her number when she's supposed to. But I think her consistency, how consistent she's been throughout the whole season.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Tisha, Katie, Nneka, thank you very much.
Thank you.
James, my bad. I referred to you as Jeff because the handsome fellow next to you. All right, we're going to be joined next, everybody, by Lisa Leslie, Swin Cash, and Cynthia Cooper. Lisa Leslie, Swin Cash, Cynthia Cooper on their way here now.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Exactly right.
Thank you for joining us, Cynthia.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
And there's
All right.
Cynthia Cooper.
Replying 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, here we
Okay.
go.
Thank you, Cynthia,
guys check
Lisa,
monitor.
and Swin. Thank you. All right, we're going to begin with, we have questions from folks on Zoom, and here in the room, we're going to start right in the front with Annie. Go ahead, Annie.
Annie Constable from the Chicago Sun-Times. This question's for Cynthia. Candace, when she arrived in Chicago in different interviews, has talked about you being an inspiration to her career. She wanted to play like you. So I wonder if you can, take a look at hers now and what she's meant to the game.
Well, Candace is just an amazing talent because of her versatility, because of her longevity. And when you look at her game, it's complete. She can knock down the outside shot to stretch the defense. She plays with her back to the basket. She's tough. At the same time, she's smooth. And then what she's really added to her game is the ability to make players around her better. When you see her passing ability, whether it be from the fast break or within their half-court offense, she is just an incredible talent. But the thing that impresses me the most is her motor. She just comes back every single year and she just brings her A game every single year. And for that, I definitely hats off and I applaud her.
A quick follow-up, if I could, Lisa, the conversation right now is really about Candace and her greatness. And if she's able to bring a title to Chicago in her first year playing there, what it would mean is just something to check off on her career. Having played with her, in the beginning, her debut in the league, in your opinion, what would that mean if she's able to bring a championship to Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's historic, really. To most statistically, if you look at it, it's very difficult to join a new team and win a championship in that year. It almost never happens on the NBA or WNBA side. So it would be amazing for her to be able to do that. But I think it also speaks to her leadership, her understanding of what it takes to win by, Candace probably has not played the best in her career this year, but she's been the best leader I think that she's ever been. Her ability to communicate and to lead by example, and to be able to be open and to teach her teammates, her young teammates with Kalia Copper, who's had an outstanding season. I think Candace has been in a role that has been awesome for her. We laugh about it because I think I was in that role probably when she and I started playing, as a leader, not being necessarily the best player that you ever have been, but that leadership and that veteran, that experience that she has. Sometimes we talk about it from the media and just talk about how old a player is, but you don't recognize, you can't buy that. And what she knows and her ability to have won at every level and having championships, that is what I think has been most impressive, that she's come in a very unselfish way, lent out so much information, and she made everybody around her better. That is a sign of a great player.
Our next two questions will come from the room. We're going to start with James and then Michelle, and you will be followed by folks on Zoom, Erica and Pepper. James, go ahead.
James K., Chicago Tribune. Swin, this league has made great strides in just from not just an on-court product, but also just from a marketing standpoint. But just looking at the league as a whole, is there anything that you would like to see from it? What do you think the next step is for the league in making the next leap?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this a little earlier amongst ourselves, and I think there's a couple of things that I hope to see happen in the next 5 years. I think the league's in a really good place right now, and as far as visibility, I give a big shout out to a lot of the people that have covered the league from the beginning, and even the new social media people that have come on board and really started elevating our league. If you look from whether it's Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, all those different outlets, we're starting to get more visibility. So thank you to the people that are covering. I think the second part is the sponsors that are out there, the commitment to this league and understanding the value of the women. I think those dollars need to start coming in more frequently. Tickets. People buying tickets, wanting to come to the game, wanting to stream the game, wanting to support, I think is something that needs to be there. And I think the final thing for me is to bring back a lot of the legends that this league was built on. I think my challenge to all of the teams that are out there is to get more of the legends of our league that have been around to start pouring into the younger players. That's how we grow the game. That's how we share the knowledge, the institutional knowledge of what the WNBA, about women's basketball is truly about. So I would like to see those things happen personally.
Next question, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle Vogel from ESPN.com. This being the 25th anniversary season, we're doing a lot of rankings. I know this is going to be asking all of you guys to like pick your favorite child, but each of you, what do you think was the best of the championship teams you played on? Obviously, Coop, you played on 4 and back to back. What one do you think was the best of those? Lisa, same for you. And Swin, I know you had 2 organizations, but if you maybe pick, best of Detroit and you know, that whatever you think is the best one. I just would really like to see what you guys think about that.
I'll go first.
Yes, of course.
Well, I would say it's really difficult to choose just one because each one had their own significance. But if I just had to choose one, I would choose our second championship. We had the highest winning percentage of any professional team, 27-3. And it was also the year that the ABL players there was an influx of ABL players, and no one believed that the Houston Comets could repeat as champions. So I thought that was a big move for us. It was a big moment for us, and it was very special.
It's tough. I guess when you look at championships, I think the first one is always the hardest one to get because it's your first time getting it. And for us, obviously being in the same conference with the Comets and losing to them, I think every Western Conference final, you know, we got sent home, and it was a great learning curve for our team, being one of the younger teams and just facing them in such greatness. And I just remember feeling like, you know, we just need a few more pieces, a few more, you know, just a little bit more experience, if you will, to be able to get over that hump. And it was a tough hump. We never got over it, obviously, as long as Coop was there. Thank God she retired. And winning that first championship was probably my favorite. It was our hardest to get. And then, yeah, so I probably would say the first one was probably the sweetest.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I agree with Lisa on the first one, but I do want to just speak just something to Seattle, Michelle, too, if that's okay. The first one for me was the toughest because the year before, we literally were the worst team in the WNBA. And to make the changes we made in the off season, to come back, to get that chemistry, to be just young and fearless and not knowing what it was going to take to win was pretty special. I would watch, you know, their championships and think about one day jumping up on top of that scorer's table and holding up the sign, and to actually be able to do that in front of 21,000 in Detroit. I just think that our team embodied the city. So that was probably really, really special. And then that Seattle team, that was just a team like a run. A lot of the people on the team are still my close friends. What we were able to do there, it was just something that, I mean, defensively, how we played, Lauren going from blonde to red hair, like making moments, Sue, Tanisha Wright, people don't even talk about it a lot of time. We had Svetlana Abrasimova that was coming off the bench. I mean, that was a real special team, and how we dominated, I think, at home. I think we lost the game at home. That was pretty special.
Thank you. Everybody, we have just a few moments left as we are nearing tip-off. We're going to go to Erica Ayala. Pepper, if we do not get to you, I promise to get to you post-game. Erica, go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, Pep. I hope we get to you. I wanted to come to you, though, Swin, quickly. There's a campaign. The WNBA is so important that, as I understand, the story and the origin comes from a conversation that Ari Chambers had with you. I just wonder if you can tell us a little bit about what you remember about those conversations. And for Lisa and Coop, if you can weigh in on what you think that slogan means, the WNBA is so important. And thank y'all. Love and light to everyone.
Thanks, E. I'll be brief so that both Coop and Lise could jump in. Ari is amazing. I remember her just being so young and coming in and wanting to cover the W. And you have this beautiful young Black woman that is, you know, excited about the game. She came to a CR event and I was just talking and trying to empower the kids and really just pouring into her. And every time I would see her, just kind of love up on her and thank her for being young. And at the time, I believe she was just blogging and talking about the W, not necessarily really having a job. And to see what she's done now, partnering with Twitter and having this hashtag, the WNBA is so important. That's why we do the things that we do. That's why we pour. That's why we do the CR events, because you never know who you're going to touch. So that's kind of how it got started. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I'm thankful and blessed she's still covering the W.
Yeah, and I had a chance to meet Ari, and she's a WNBA fan, but I think a person who just shows the type of passion, the reason why we play, the reason why we stop and sign autographs, the reason why we are aware of what our platform is. It was always for little girls that look like us also. And so Ari is that little girl now, even though she's not so little anymore. So beautiful Black young woman who covers us with so much excitement and passion. And she makes it fun. And she's really tapped into a market that Coop and I didn't have, obviously, with social media when we played. And she's bringing a new light to the WNBA. So we are thankful for so many of you young, enthusiastic bloggers and people who participate on social media. And those of you who have Instagram accounts that are, you know, just about women's basketball and young girls playing, where you've been able to connect the community that we've always wanted and wished that people could see, because we really have done so many great things, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us out there. So thank you.
And I'll just quickly say, Ari, you know, when you talk about the different events that you guys matter at, I just believe that when you have, you know, you give kids fertile ground, that leads to great opportunities. And Ari is an example of that.
All right, Cynthia, Lisa, and Swin, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game, everybody. Thank you to the media who are here in the room and on Zoom. Thanks, everybody.